I want you to stop feeling comfortable with accepting less than what you deserve. Loneliness is one of the ingredients and part of the recipe to creating a good dish called regret. Being lonely is not a bad thing all the time. Sometimes loneliness is a reminder of what it is you need to work on. My emotions will never not be my plus one in any relationship that I walk into in my life. The thing that you're avoiding that you feel when you're lonely got just as much as time as you do. Pay attention to those thoughts you have when you're not distracted. Having low standards gonna come at a high price. They should have been vetted properly, and if you would have vetted them, maybe you would have seen that there was some big red flags there. Whatever it is that your mind chooses to allow to sink from the bottom to the surface, that's the first thing I want you to work on. Being still will always reveal what you need to heal. And working on your self-awareness, right? You can't outfox your emotions. They just as fast as you, but what you can do is put hands on them and tell them to sit the fuck down. You'll realize that you have the authority and you're stronger than the thing that you think is that you're running away from. You're stronger than it, but you don't even give yourself the opportunity to realize that because you won't face it. Yo, welcome back to the Halfway Up podcast, and I call it Halfway Up because you're never finished rising. And today, I want to talk about loneliness, and I think loneliness is something that affects a lot of people, and loneliness can show up in a whole lot of different ways. You know, I've been lonely in the aspect of I didn't have anybody around me that I could socialize with and relate to and talk to. And then I've also been lonely in the aspect of this, I've lived with people and still didn't feel connected to them, you know? So loneliness can look a bunch of different ways, and that's kind of what I want to tackle in this episode. You know, I want this episode to be for those people who know that, you know, their problem in life is not sleeping in my car or not knowing where my next meal is going to come from, but they still don't feel all the way okay. You know what I mean? They still feel like something is wrong. They still feel unbalanced. And this is the episode for y'all. And I want to let y'all know that I understand. And not only do I understand, but I can relate to it. You know what I mean? Because I done been a person that has experienced loneliness in a multitude of ways. Loneliness is something that if we don't pay attention to it, if we don't address it and acknowledge it for exactly what it is, it could do a lot of harm. You know, it's one of those things that might start small, but it can get bigger. And what's fucked up is when you're thinking about loneliness, you can grow comfort in your loneliness. You'll never actually be comfortable, but you can find a way to incorporate it in your life like it's just a natural part of your life. You'll let that emotion move in like, fuck it, I got an extra bedroom. Come on and stay. Here are the keys. And that's something that I don't think anybody should be doing because, you know, I don't have the numbers and I don't have the statistics in front of me, but I think loneliness is one of the most challenging things that Americans face. No matter what part of the country that you live in, loneliness is one of those things that plagues probably the majority of U.S. citizens. You know what I mean? So I believe that it's important to talk about because, you know, you're a special person and you're a beautiful person, and you shouldn't be dealing with loneliness if you are. And if you are, that's okay because a lot of us do, a lot of us have. But hopefully this conversation will give you some inspiration to push that ball and get some momentum going in the right direction. You get what I'm saying? And the first thing that I want to address when it comes to loneliness is sometimes we feel an empty space with the wrong people. Filling an empty space in your life with the wrong people is dangerous because unfortunately, when you're feeling loneliness, you come face to face with the things that are actually happening inside of you. You can't avoid it. You know, whenever it's too quiet, whenever the party not lit, whenever the drink's not being tossed around, you left to face with what's actually going on inside of you. And that could be a whole lot of different things. It could be self-esteem. It could be trauma from the past. It could be so many different things. And when you feel those feelings, it's natural to want to run away from them when you don't have the proper education. Because the proper education is I'm feeling these things because I need to have a conversation with that feeling inside of me. I need to have a conversation with the thing that I feel when I'm alone. I need to become familiar with the thing that I feel when I'm alone. I keep running from it because it's unfamiliar to me. Or I keep running from it because I don't want to talk through it. I'd rather just avoid it and act like it don't exist. But the problem with that is that it never actually goes away. The thing that you're avoiding that you feel when you're lonely got just as much as time as you do. And the question is, how long do you want to wait? Do you want to wait 2 years? You want to wait 5 years? Do you want to wait 10 years? It don't matter because that thing, that feeling you feel when you by yourself and you left alone to your thoughts and you don't have the luxury of being distracted, it's going to be there and it's going to be waiting on you until you're ready to face it head on, face to face. It's going to be there waiting on you until you're ready to deal with it. Sometimes we avoid the conflict of these things by feeling other people in our lives so that we can be distracted, so that we can continuously be entertained. But the dangerous part about that is because they're the wrong people, hurt people hurt people. You know, sometimes it's not intentional, but it's just something that is true. Sometimes you could feel that empty void in your life with the wrong person, just anybody, right? But then they're gonna come with their own pain. And they're gonna come with their own traumas. And now not only are you avoiding the traumas that you already feel trying to speak up to you, you might pick up some extra ones. And now you adding way more work to your caseload. You adding way more to your bag, and this is gonna be harder and heavier for you to carry. And eventually you can't avoid it forever. Eventually you're gonna have to stop and you're gonna have to look at it in its face and you're gonna have to deal with it. You're gonna have that uncomfortable conversation because the only way to get past it is to get through it. The only way to get past it is to look at it face to face and have that conversation and deal with those emotions. Any emotion that you feel when you feel lonely, when you get to a place in your life where the party not lit, where the vibes is not all the way around, the shorties ain't shaking their ass, the homies ain't dapping you up, the music not playing, the liquor not flowing, the weed ain't there, the drugs ain't there, the money ain't there. When you find yourself in that place when you ain't got nothing to do but to just feel, the feel is not that thing that you feeling. I want you to reshape the way that you look at it. That thing that you feeling is really knocking on the door and trying to tell you, hey, it's time for us to have a talk. But if you continue to avoid it, you're going to create more problems for yourself. You get what I'm saying? So I understand the desire to fill that empty space with just anybody, but oftentimes it's going to be the wrong person because the right person going to love you enough to let you know what's real. They're going to love you enough to let you know, like, hey, maybe you should deal with that. Maybe you should pay attention to that. Maybe you shouldn't keep running away from that because you need to understand that energy is a unlimited source, right? Feelings are energetic in nature. And no matter if I decide to address this energy today or 20 years from now, it's going to be there waiting for me. It's got all the, my emotions will never not be my plus one in any relationship that I walk into in my life. And that's why it's important for you to address them and stop acting like they don't exist. Stop acting like your emotions are not there because they're going to be your plus one. They're going to walk with you in every party. They're going to walk with you in every classroom. They're going to walk with you in every relationship. And when you love people, you want to try your best to not be the hurt person that continues to hurt more people. But you want to try your best to not be that person. And sometimes we hurt people on accident. We don't mean it, but we trying our best to balance these emotions and these things that we don't even fully understand because we have not taken the time to look it in its face and see it for what it is. But if you don't do it for nobody else, do it for the people that you love because it's inevitable that if you do not deal with them things, that unchecked energy, them unchecked emotions, they're gonna bleed over into your relationships. And now you're ruining your reputation. Now you're taking the risk of people seeing your character in a way that's not good. You get what I'm saying? And you don't want to do that. So you got to be mindful when you trying to fill your loneliness and your emptiness with the wrong people, just so you can say that you're not alone, just so you can feel busy all the time. Sometimes it's not gonna be pretty work. It's not gonna be sexy, but sometimes you gotta get still, man. Anything that you feel when you're lonely, anything that you feel when you get still is something that's knocking on your door to have a conversation with you. It wants to meet you face to face. And you gotta decide when you're gonna open the door and greet it and let it in. So you can stop avoiding the inevitable. The second thing that I want you to think about when it comes to loneliness is having low standards gonna come at a high price. When you have low standards, meaning that anybody can have access to you, any type of thing can have access to you because you think of yourself so small, you think of yourself so lowly that you'll just take whatever because you feel grateful to just have any little thing. As long as you're in a place in your life where you're not putting things through a vetting process, that means that there's a high chance that almost anything can come through and hurt you. That could be people. That could be the food that you eat. That could be the drugs that you take. And that could be the way that you choose to spend your time. Having low standards, it's going to come at a high price because when something can easily make it to you and the impact of that thing is big, that's going to be a lot of work that you got to work through now. That's going to be a lot of pain that you got to work through now. That's going to be more pain that's going to rock you and fuck you up even more than you already was. So there's a high standard that comes to this. You know, when you're somebody who is afraid to be alone so much that you will allow anybody who's nice to come into your life. Oh, you make me feel seen? Maybe I never felt attractive my whole life. Maybe nobody ever made me feel sexy, right? So then you got somebody who come through and make you feel just a little special. They come through and make you feel just a little seen. And you let them come in not understanding that they should have been vetted properly. And if you would have vetted them, maybe you would have seen that there was some big red flags there. Red flags that if you would have avoided would have stopped you from going off on a 600-mile bender in the wrong direction. Now you got to heal, go 600 miles in the right direction, and then start from your starting point and then finish off the rest of the 100,000 miles you got left to get to where it is that you're trying to go. It should be hard to have access to you. People should get around you and be able to feel like, oh, I can't just do anything I want to bro. I can't just do anything I want to her. I could tell she about to protect. I could tell if I try to do some sneaky shit, she gonna protect herself. I can tell if I try to give him a backhanded compliment, he gonna protect himself. Oh, I could tell I can't just be any type of person when I'm in their presence. I can't just do whatever I want because they gonna say something, because they gonna see me, because they gonna call me out. You get what I'm saying? You have to protect yourself. No matter how many people you got in your life that love you and want the best for you got to want the best for you more than anybody else in this world because you are your first line of defense. If something makes it out and if something from the streets make it into your safe zone, it's your fault. And I don't say that to blame you, but you got to understand you let that happen on your watch. So that's why you have to become stronger. That's why you have to become better. That's why your standards have to become higher so you decrease the chances of something like that happening to you in the first place. And I'm saying all this because I want you to stop feeling comfortable with accepting less than what you deserve. And maybe you don't know what you deserve right now, but that's even more to the point of why you have to work on your self esteem. You know, you have to find a way to be comfortable with feeling lonely. Being lonely is not a bad thing all the time. Sometimes loneliness is a reminder of what it is you need to work on and where you need to start. And I understand that if you're the type of person that allows just anybody to come into your life, it's because you're desperate. You're desperate for connection. You're desperate for some sense of community. You know, you're desperate of a feeling of validation, of belonging. But I'm telling you that you might allow that person to come into your life and they might, you know, relieve you of those things temporarily, but permanently, though, they're going to leave a scar on your life. Permanently, they're going to come through and leave you worse off than how they found you. You get what I'm saying? And you think that you're helping, but you're only avoiding the problem temporarily. You're actually creating a bigger one later. Now, the third thing that I want you to think about when it comes to loneliness is the answer you're looking for is always hiding behind the thing that you're running from. And this is one of my issues with school and the education system in the first place, because it could be so simple to introduce the concept to a child that the things that you feel are things that you need to come face to face with and stop avoiding. Whatever you feel, whenever you feel it, is the emotion knocking on the door, asking you to meet. I want to have a face to face. Can you please open the door so we can have a conversation? Problems get worse, our problems become bigger. It becomes harder for us to carry it. We increase our chances of hurting the people that we love, people that we admire, people that we respect when we avoid it, when we act like it's not there, when we feel like it's too much to bear. So we just turn our back, we sweep it underneath the rug. Now, understanding that these things not going nowhere. They got all the time in the world just like we do. If you got 100 years, if you got 10 years in you, so do they. They're not going nowhere. And I understand that it's very uncomfortable to deal with these problems face to face, but the breakthrough that you're looking for, the clarity that you're looking for, the comfort that you're looking for is going through it. There's no other way around it, bro. You can go as far back as you want to. You can go as far to the left as you want to. You can go as far to the right as you want to. It's not until you go straight and you deal with that shit that you increase your chances of getting past it so you can get to enjoying your life. So you can get to undoing some of the fucked up shit that's happened to you. You can get to being the normal person that you deserve to be. And that takes courage. That takes bravery. You know what I mean? It's not easy to come face to face with the things that you've been running from for a long time. But I promise you, you'll run out of breath before the emotions do. The emotions got all the leg horsepower, all the twin turbine energy. They got everything. They got everything they need. They got all the knives. They got all the jet fuel in the world to keep up with you. You will never outrun the thing that you're running from. But you know one thing you can do? What's better than running? Approach your emotions face to face and let it be known like, I'm not running from you no more. I don't got fucking time to be running from you because I don't work for you. You work for me. You work for me. We know that energy is something that can't be destroyed, but it can be transformed. Transform that energy. That emotion that you're running from is just an opportunity for you to transform that energy into something that you could actually use to your benefit later. But you can't do that when you're avoiding it. You got to understand that the thing that you're running from, the answer to what you're looking for is right behind it. So you got to go through it. Push that motherfucker out the way so you can get to what it is that you're really looking for. If for nothing else, because you deserve that. You deserve that. You do. The fourth thing that I want you to think about when it comes to being lonely is loneliness is one of the ingredients and part of the recipe to creating a good dish called regret. No matter how much money you got, no matter how much bread you got, no matter how many things you've accomplished, no matter how many things you haven't accomplished, when it's all said and done and you in your final days, we count the real score by how many regrets you have and how many regrets you don't have. That's the real score. It's not about how many millions you got. It's not about how many people you had sex with. It's not about how many houses you bought. It's not about how many championships that you won. It's not about how many albums that you sold. We keep score on how quality of a life that you've actually lived based off the regrets. And as long as you keep running away from your loneliness, as long as you keep being afraid of it, and as long as you keep avoiding it, you're increasing your chances of having more regret. Because we all got a limited amount of time. We don't know how much time God gonna allow us to have. I would like to think that if I got 30 years left on this planet, that I'm gonna use my time wisely to put some of these things to the side so I can get to the real fun. Because this life shit is about fun. What is it about if it's not about fun? We should be having fun. We should be finding ways to live a fulfilling, beautiful life. We can't do that when we allowing loneliness to keep pulling us by our neck every time we try to take a step away. Loneliness is like a leash, a tight one, right around your neck. And every time you think you got some freedom, you think you free because you ain't went far enough yet to feel the tug of the leash. But eventually you will as long as you keep avoiding it. You think you free, but you really not. You just in a bigger cage, a real big cage. Cage so motherfucking big that you think you got freedom up until the point that you get close to the walls, you get close to the railings, you get close to the barriers, and then you're gonna be reminded. Everybody's gonna hit that wall when you deal with when you continue to act like these things don't need to be dealt with. You get what I'm saying? And hopefully when you hit that wall, it's not when you're running out of time, when you're not on your deathbed. You get what I'm saying? Like too many times I've heard stories about somebody carrying something their whole life until they was on their deathbed, ready to go any day now. And then they finally released it. Literally almost so poetic in a way that they release the information and then they transition into the next thing. You know, these things happen. You don't want to be that type of person. That's too much for you to carry. That's too much of a burden for you to carry. You know, light is weightless. It's nothing to be happy. It's nothing to be a joy to be around. It's nothing to have good energy, but you don't realize that because you're too busy carrying the weight of the negativity. That shit is heavy. Carrying the weight of pain, that shit is heavy. Get that shit off of you. That shit that was not designed to stay inside of your body. You know, these emotions, we got to treat them like they're renting a room from your house, like they renting one of your properties. Yeah, you can come for a little while, but eventually you got to go back to where you came from. You get what I'm saying? We got to transform the energy. You don't deserve to stay here. You don't got enough money in the world to stay here permanently. Not looking like that. If you want to eat at this table, you're going to have to switch your clothes. Depression, you're going to have to switch your clothes. Trauma, you're going to have to switch your clothes. Anxiety, you're going to have to switch your clothes. Stress, you're going to have to switch your clothes. Irritation, you're going to have to switch your clothes. Anger, because I know that energy never dies. So you're going to have to change the way you look. You're going to have to transform the energy. And I can't make the energy transform until I address it for what it is. I got to confront that motherfucker. And then once it changes, now you can come to the seat at the table because now you happy. Now the anger looks like happiness. Now the stress looks like joy. Now the anxiety looks like fulfillment. You know what I mean? It's the same energy, kind of like you. There's a depressed version of you at some point in life. There's a happy version of you some point in life. You stayed the same. You didn't grow any taller. Your skin complexion didn't change. You stayed the same, but the energy inside of you morphed into something differently. And that's how I want you to look at it. Energy is something it's like clay. It's waiting to be molded. But if you don't mold that energy, eventually the longer it stays in your body, the longer that it festers, it's going to take the shape of regret. And regret is something that kills people every fucking day. How many bodies do regret got? Thousands. Regret probably got more bodies than any other thing in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's the regret that creates the mind space for you to be susceptible to fucked up shit. Maybe because you've been carrying regret for so long, that's why you turn to drugs. You've been carrying regret for so long, that's why you turn to alcohol. You've been carrying regret for so long, that's why you're dying with loneliness, knowing that you're thirsty for connection, but you won't allow yourself to have it. You get what I'm saying? So we have to find a way um to move through regret. Maybe we can't eliminate it completely, but we got to find a way to compartmentalize it and put it where it's supposed to be. And we can't do that when we're dealing with loneliness. If you don't deal with loneliness, it's going to become the regret. That's really what I'm saying. The regret that I'm speaking about a lot of the time is the loneliness, you know, but it can look a bunch of different ways. There's a lot of different ways that we can get to a place of feeling regret, feeling like we don't belong. And the fifth thing that I want you to consider when it comes to loneliness is pay attention to those thoughts you have when you're not distracted. I pretty much done made that point every other point that I done made so far, but that's because everything really applies to the same thing. You approach loneliness the same way every single time. What your mind chooses to focus on, whatever it is that your mind chooses to allow to sink from the bottom to the surface, that's the first thing I want you to work on. That's the first thing you need to give your ultimate attention to. And if you can't afford a therapist, maybe you should start journaling, writing it down, putting it on paper so you can see outside of yourself. What is it that I'm actually feeling? When do I feel it? When does it pop up? What triggers it? How do I feel when I feel it? What's the first thing I think about doing when I feel it? If you can't afford a therapist, you can start to sit with yourself and become familiar with yourself, no differently than how you get close to anybody else in your life. Sit with yourself and deal with yourself and try to get comfortable with the idea of who you are and what's going on and why is it happening. You get what I'm saying? Even become familiar with the ways you choose to run away and escape it. Being still will always reveal what you need to heal. And working on your self awareness, right? Being self aware, meaning I know what's going on inside of me. It's not lost on me. I'm not blind to it. I know what it is. Once you can be self aware about it and you can detect it, you can get one step closer to actually doing something to fix it. You can get one step closer to doing something to change it, to become the person that you actually really want to motherfucking be. And again, I understand why we avoid our thoughts because it's not comfortable. It's not sexy. It's not fun. All we want to do is have fun. All we want to do is have a good time. You know what I mean? Everything we do is about feeling the warmth. But the truth is that the cold is a necessary part of life. That's why there's seasons. There's winter, there's spring, there's fall, there's summer. There's seasons. And we don't get to decide what season the earth is going to be in. That's unnegotiable to us. I need you to understand that this is something that is inevitable and it's something that you just have to deal with because it's a natural part of the process of life. Dealing with the cold things, acknowledging the things that are in the darkness, dealing with your dark self, understanding that there is some shadow work that needs to be done for you to become somebody who gets to enjoy his life in the light. It's fucked up when there's opportunities you should be living in the light and you can't really be present and you can't really be there because the things in the dark are still tugging you away. Sun in the middle of the sky, it's 80 degrees out, the weather feel beautiful. You can't even be fully present and acknowledge it because in the inside, your body needs some renovation. In the inside, your body needs some spring cleaning. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean about these emotions. You can never outrun them. You can't outfox your emotions. They just as fast as you, but what you can do is put hands on them and tell them to sit the fuck down. You'll realize that you have the authority and you're stronger than the thing that you think is that you're running away from. You're stronger than it, but you don't even give yourself the opportunity to realize that because you won't face it. Pay attention to the thoughts you have when you're not distracted, man. And I'm only saying all of this because I'm somebody who has dealt with loneliness before and I know what it's like. I know what it's like, man. It's weird. It's a weird emotion to feel, but I just want to let you know that it's a weird emotion to feel, but I just want to let you know that you're not alone and that there are people out here who understand, man. And if don't nobody else understand, I do. I promise you I do. I promise you I do. But it's these things that I'm talking about in this podcast, is these things that I had to really sit over and really develop and understand myself and really like become in tune with understanding that like the more I avoid it, the harder it's gonna be to get past it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? You can't get past it when you avoid it. You can't. You cannot get past it. You cannot get beyond it because you're avoiding it. You keep walking in the opposite direction of it. Well, then you're never gonna get through it. It's that's just how it is. That's just how I work here on Earth, man. You know. So I want you to stop feeling lonely. I want you to listen to this, and hopefully something that was said in this resonates with you, and you realize, you know what? That's where I'm gonna start working. You know what? I am tired. Things don't change until you decide that you've had enough. That's just how life works, you know? And some of us got more stamina than others, but regardless of how long you've been dealing with your thing, I want you to know that it's never a bad time to decide I want better for myself. It's never a bad time. And with that being said, man, it's another episode of the Halfway Up podcast. I love you guys. Always trying to have conversations that'll be relatable to like the real experiences and the real things that I know people are actually going through. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm always trying to talk about just that real shit. And it might not be the most popular stuff and it might not be the most viral worthy things, but I believe that one day the right people gonna find these messages and it's gonna hit them at the right time. It's gonna hit them at the right time and it's gonna be exactly what they need to get one step in front of the other and get that momentum going in the right direction. I really believe that. And that's all that really mattered to me. I don't need instant gratification because I know that what I'm building is gonna become such a foundation later that I can build on it and create generational wealth on it. And then more importantly than that, I could like it the person I look at in the mirror and be proud of what I've done. I could be proud of my work, amongst other things. Of course, I'm working hard on the podcast, but I got other things I want to do too. But this is part of the impact that I want to leave here on earth. These conversations I feel would never be not relatable. I think 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, somebody will be able to relate to these very things that I'm talking about on this podcast. And so this is for y'all and this is for them. And with that being said, man, it's Saturday. I think it's 80 degrees outside. Well, hold on. Let me actually check the weather. Bro, it's 79 degrees. Summer is here. Spring, summer, I don't care what you call it, as long as it ain't winter. As long as we ain't calling it winter, that's fine by me. You know? Hey man, youth is temporary, but health is forever. We must stay healthy. And you already know the mantra, the religion, the outro, the spirit of the brand. Whenever I'm working, I will remember that done is better than perfect. And if I'm satisfied with my work, then that means that I'm living in my purpose. This is Wolf Taylor. I love you guys, man. Please leave a rating and review. If you done made it this far to the podcast, reach out, send me a DM, send me a text, let me know. I love y'all. Have a beautiful day. I hope you're finding ways to prepare for your summer. Summer is coming. It's going to be very beautiful. It's going to be beautiful, man. And I hope everybody is planning trips. I hope you're planning outfits. I hope you're planning to find the best bars in your city, the best restaurants. I hope you got a special somebody in your life. And even if you don't, be your special somebody in your life. Take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because you deserve that, man. Peace.